Hey everyone, Jeff here with the Void Fill. I'm going to show you a very easy process how you can grow your own food indoors. No soil or dirt needed. All you need are 3 simple things and you can start growing food inside your home. Sprouts are a quick and very nutritious way to start living a more healthy lifestyle. Not only are sprouts healthy for you, they are very affordable. They can also last a long time depending on how much you use them. You can eat them on their own, you can make a salad with them, you can put them in a salad, or you can complement many types of meals with sprouts. One of my favorite ways to use these sprouts is to put them in a nice healthy smoothie to get my day started. So enough of me babbling on about how amazing sprouts are. Let's get into the details. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our sprout bag. As you can see, these are mung bean sprouts, organic. So we're gonna open the bag and we're gonna pour a small amount of sprouts into the mason jar. That should be good. We're gonna do the same thing for 2 other types of sprouts here. Here we have some alfalfa sprouts. Really good for adding some flavor to whatever you want to eat. Now these are a smaller seed, so be careful. That's good. These are going to fill a lot more volume eventually, so don't be tricked and overfill your jar. And here we have some radish sprouts. My favorite. Daikon radish sprouts. These are my personal favorite, and I don't like being shy with these. I'm always generous with these bad boys. And that should be good. Once we have our seeds inside the jar, we're gonna go ahead and add some water. And these mung beans really soak up a lot of water. So I like to put enough water in there to really allow the seeds to soak up all the water. Oh man, I cannot wait for those radishes. After I get the seeds in the water, if you look down in there, I like to swirl it around so they don't get clumped together. Smaller seeds, like the alfalfa seeds, really like to clump together, so I like to swirl it around, make sure they're nice and loose and not clumped together. Same with the radish seeds. These ones like to stay nice and separated. Another reason why they're my favorite. Once the seeds are submerged in water, you're gonna take one of these convenient but simple metal mesh mason jar lids, which I found on Amazon for fairly cheap. You can find them in the link below. And we're just gonna screw it on top. This particular brand of sprouting seeds has pretty simple instructions on what to do. Tells you to let the seeds soak for 6 to 10 hours. Rinse and drain the seeds 2 to 3 times a day. And you should have it ready to eat anywhere from 2 to 5 days, depending on how long you want to let it go and grow. So even though a package might say soak the seeds for 6 to 8 hours or 6 to 12 hours or 4 to 8 hours, whatever, I always like to do a minimum of 12 hours. Personally, I find the best results when I let the sprout seeds soak for at least 12 hours. I use room temperature to cool water because I don't want to give the seeds a hot or a cold extreme as to shock them. All right, now that the seeds are soaking in water, we will see you for the next phase, which is the rinse and repeat phase after I've let the seeds soak for at least 12 hours. And I just want to remind all the viewers that it only takes 3 things to grow your own sprouts inside of your home. Number 1, the sprout seeds. Number 2, a mason jar. And number 3, a lid for the jar that you use to filter the water out so the seeds and sprouts don't fall out. I like to use these convenient metal mesh screens, which you can find in the link below. But when I first started doing this, I was using standard window screen, and I cut it out and fastened it with some rubber bands. So you can get creative, but these seem to work the best for me. Okay, now that I have let the seeds soak for at least 12 hours, I'm gonna go ahead and drain these bad boys. Keep in mind, when you're letting them drain, you want to let them sit over time for a few hours to completely drain, and you want to put it on an angle. Don't do it completely up and down. Do it on an angle like this. If you could somehow position it. I just use my sink and position it like that. I'll take the next one. Make sure it's on an angle, because if it's not on an angle, the seeds will actually block the water from getting out, believe it or not. All right. Now I have all my sprout jars on an angle. I'm gonna let these sit for at least a few hours and drain. And at this point, you're going to rinse and drain the jars 2 to 3 times a day until you get the result that you want. Now that I have let it drain for a few hours, it's pretty dry in there. It's kind of hard to tell from this GoPro, but it's rather dry in there. So we need to rinse it and drain it again, like so. Again, it's important to keep it on that angle when you drain it. Wash it around in there. Try to unclump any clumped together seeds. And just drain again. Try to get them all. A lot of times they'll be stuck up here. So a couple seeds will be stuck to the side, but swish it around with water and you'll get them down. All right. They have been rinsed and are draining. And that is all you need to do to keep growing your sprouts. Some people or some instructions would recommend that you make sure to keep the seeds in darkness while they're sprouting. I was doing that when I first started, but I found that it doesn't really matter if you put them in darkness or not. Maybe certain species of plants absolutely require darkness in order to sprout from the seed, but I don't have to leave them in darkness anymore because I found it didn't make much of a difference between leaving them in darkness and not leaving them in darkness. So I'm just gonna let these sit on an angle and drain. After about a minute that they've been at this angle, I'll just rotate them a little bit to get some extra drainage from a different angle. All right, and I'll let them set for another, few hours. I happen to be fortunate enough to work just down the road from where I live, so I'm able to hop in here during my lunch break and rinse these and drain these. However, it is not going to make or break your sprouts if you can only rinse it twice a day versus 3 or 4 times a day. From my experience, the more you rinse, the more it'll grow. But if you can't make it home for lunch, or you can only drain them once in the morning and once at night, that's fine too. You're still gonna get some great results. Okay, so we are at just around 36 hours after that initial soaking the seeds in water phase. So around a day and a half after that of rinsing and draining. And here we can see the embryos starting to come out of the seed. Back the light up a little bit. There we go. Those little white things coming out of the seed, that is the embryo. These are the mung beans. We can look at the alfalfa. And then take a look at the radish. So just keep rinsing and draining 2 to 3 times a day, and you're going to continue to see them grow. I'll see you at the next phase when we start putting them in sunlight. Okay, we are just at about 72 hours from that initial soaking phase. I've been rinsing and draining for 3 days now, 2 to 3 times a day. You can see all the embryos have actually left the shell of the seed. And in this case, the radishes, if you can tell the little fuzzy parts in there, that is not mold. Those are root hairs. Tiny little hairs that spread from the plant's roots to try to collect water. I think that's pretty cool. I'm going to rinse and drain them again and put them in the light. It's pretty cloudy today. So if by tomorrow I have determined that these things are not getting enough light, I will supplement it with some LED lighting, which I will cover in another video. And this apartment farming is just exciting. I'm about to have all this delicious, nutritious food, and I grew it myself. So I got these sprout jars right next to a window. It's cloudy today, but natural light is always better than artificial light. So I'm going to try to get these to grow, even though it's sort of cloudy. I think we're still going to get some good results. So it's been 72 hours. You saw the embryos break out of the seed shells. They now require light. As long as you keep these in light and keep rinsing and draining, they're just going to keep growing. And you can let them grow to your desired result. Keep in mind, the more or less you let them grow also affects their nutritional value and their taste. Something else I'll cover in another video. We are now 3.5 days in, and here's where we're at so far. These are the mung beans. You can see how the embryos have come out of the shells, which are the dark green things there. These are the alfalfa. And these are the radishes. Oh yeah. I had them in the light today, so that's how they got green. And at this point, they're edible. But I'm going to let them grow a little more because I want them to be a little more dense, a little more flavorful. Especially these radishes here. These are my favorite, as you know. I like these growing for maybe another day or two. The mung beans will take a little more time to come to fruition, but they are well worth it. We have come to our conclusion. The sprouts have definitely grown to the point that I personally want them. So this is 6 days after the initial soaking phase. I waited 6 days instead of 4 and 5 because I wanted you to see the mung beans get a little more mature, and to give you a comparison as to what these look like now compared to what they looked like when we started. Here is the alfalfa. Here is the radish. And here is the mung bean. You can just eat them on their own. You can mix them all together and make a sprout salad. You can include them in a typical regular salad. You can garnish with them. You can cut them up in a blender inside of your health smoothies. You can put them in a soup, put them on sandwiches. You can do anything you want with them. And there's so many different types. And these are 3 of, you know, my 6 or 7 favorites. So I chose these to show you. All right, I just wanted to thank everyone for watching the video. If you have any criticisms or feedbacks, please comment below. I am by no means any sort of botanical expert or agricultural expert. I am learning, just like you are, how to try to be a little more sustainable. I know a lot of people are constantly making efforts to try to live a healthier lifestyle. I think growing sprouts is a great first step because it shows you that growing your own food is not foreign. It's a great way to get back in touch with nature, and it's just a great way to get a bunch of nutrients and great flavor in a short amount of time. I'm going to be putting out another video surrounding the benefits of sprouts, and you can't talk about apartment farming without talking about microgreens, otherwise known as shoots, which is something else I will also touch on in a future video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel below, and I'll see you at the next video on benefits of eating sprouts.
What is this?